The Pain Pod is produced by Bloodstream Media and made possible thanks to our sponsor, Tremo Pharmaceuticals. Visit resethastudy.com to learn more about their work.
Picture this. It's Friday night, and you've got a date. You and your partner have been planning this for weeks. Babysitters booked, reservations are made, and you've got the perfect outfit. The mood is right, the vibes are good, and suddenly you hear,
Hey, can we talk for a moment?
well, that took a left turn. And in specific contexts, having a talk can undoubtedly change the mood. But sometimes, it's necessary. Pain can be unpredictable and can appear at any time. And yes, even during intimate moments. But there are still ways to advance connection, uplift intimacy, and move forward in relationships. So in this episode, we talk with professionals and discuss how to approach and advance personal and intimate relationships, even with chronic pain. Hi, I'm Mel Forrest, and you're listening to The Pain Pod, After Hours.
It's not going to always be fireworks and rainbows. Like, it is going to have an ebb and a flow.
Oh, those new relationship feels. The excitement and anticipation of seeing that person that gives you butterflies in your stomach. Growing and learning together. Laughing, talking, just so much fun that you hope never ends. But what happens when the excitement shifts? Sure, it doesn't end, but what happens when real life sets in? The day-to-day, the work stresses, finances, errands, laundry. I think you can tell that I don't like doing laundry. Whether we want to admit it or not, all of these things affect us and our relationships. So what happens when we mix chronic pain into that picture? In this episode, we talk with licensed professional counselor, certified sex therapist, and co-host of the podcast Flow on bloodstreammedia.com, Sarah Watson, on approaching and moving forward in relationships with chronic pain. We begin by discussing how to navigate and cope with changes in our relationships.
I think nobody really talks about it. They're always seeking out that beginning of the relationship feelings, right? There's an educator in my field that calls it like the new relationship hormones. Like, we're always looking for that after we kind of get into that stable part of the relationship and seeking to go back and getting to the place of understanding that physically our hormones are not going to go back to where they were. So understanding that process and that stability is a wonderful thing within a relationship, and like being like, okay, it's not going to always be fireworks and rainbows. Like, it is going to have an ebb and a flow. And when we have chronic pain with that too, I think the first thing I think about and change with that is really being open with yourself. Like, really doing, if you're the person who is struggling with the chronic pain, getting to a place of deeper understanding with yourself before you then start having these conversations with your partner. Maybe some things you can figure out with them, but if you're not clear about how you're feeling, how your pain impacts you, and I know those things can kind of shift and change, how do you expect your partner to know?
So I invite you to take a little time to get to know you. Reconnect with your feelings, rediscover what you want, and understand what you need. Go ahead. It's okay.
So if you take that time to kind of sit with, okay, this is what's going on, this is how it impacts me, and then coming to the table and saying, I've got some things going on, this is what I understand about it right now, knowing that it will probably change. I know my chronic pain changes, and it's an interesting thing to talk about, but being very clear with your partner about, hey, this is where I am right now. And it may not stay like this, it may. And be flexible with that, but have your own understanding about yourself.
In the second season of The Pain Pod, we discuss the idea of acceptance. When we acknowledge changes, we can process how we feel and what we need, which might not happen overnight. Sometimes we need to recruit others, maybe someone like Sarah, to help us navigate this within ourselves. But once we reach that point, Sarah shares some ways to communicate your feelings and needs to your partner. We also discuss ways to be a supportive partner throughout these changes.
We're going to be open and honest with ourselves and our partner. We're going to have regular communication, and we'll get to that in a little bit. But one thing I was thinking about, I think that has been very helpful in my relationship, is having my partner come to appointments with me for specialists that help me deal with what's going on. So he gets the knowledge right up front. And he can also ask questions of the provider, whoever's helping me at that moment. Because sometimes, I don't know about everybody else, but sometimes I leave an appointment and I'm like, okay, I feel so good. I've got all my questions answered. And then I come home and I'm like, I don't remember what they said. At least for me in my brain, it is very helpful to have him come to appointments.
Sarah also emphasized that you don't need to go to every appointment, but asking your partner to join for the necessary or big ones can be helpful. Knowledge is power, and when your partner has more knowledge and understanding of your situation, they too can learn acceptance and have a clearer picture of how to provide better support for you and the relationship.
You're having a medical professional validate what actually is happening within the body versus just the feeling that if you're the person with chronic pain that is just sharing, right? That's really hard to understand. But I think having a third person there can be very validating and very helpful.
Once we've established a baseline of understanding, there are ways we can communicate pain or changes within our body to our partner.
I think pain or no pain, actually making sure that you are scheduling time to talk, which I know is not sexy. It's not fun. No one's like, yeah, I'm so pumped to do a relationship check-in. And I often recommend that to my clients, and none of them are like, oh, I'm so pumped. I'm so excited. But 30 minutes out of your week is probably going to be really, really helpful in connecting for the relationship. So there's a couple ways you can do that. Don't do this in bed. Don't have your communication check-in in bed, please. Make sure you think about the time of day. So if you have children, are they occupied? Are they at school? Are they doing something? Are they out of, essentially out of your hair? Moving your body while you're doing it can be very helpful too. So I often recommend going on a walk together. And I don't want you to be super cozy and comfy either, right? I want you to be paying attention to each other. So sitting at a dining room table, or if you're in your living room, really making sure all electronics are off, phones are off, everything's away. Maybe you set a timer if you need to do that, but that would be my only exception for electronics. And then you just talk hey, how are you feeling? What's going on? What do you need? And you can kind of come up with a script if you'd like to make sure. And where is your level of pain right now? And how can I help you? Or what help do you need, depending on who you are in the partnership? So scheduling convos, not sexy, but super helpful.
Though it may not be rose petals, candles, and silk sheets. Talking and communicating can actually bring people closer and allow for new and exciting forms of intimacy, especially after those new relationship hormones wear off. But with all good things comes balance. So if you're like me, who's a bit of a talker, how do you balance this new type of communication?
There's generally a talker and maybe a person who is very in touch with their feelings, and maybe their partner is not so much. I hear that very often within my clients, and just actually with my friends too. Tends to be I want to talk about all of these things. This is what's going on, and their partner's And so to combat that, one thing I like to share with friends and clients is kind of the statement of sharing with your partner, hey, I get it. It's not, feelings generally aren't fun to talk about all of the time if you're not used to doing that. But that you're not asking them to share their feelings with everyone else, but just you. And that if you need to even print out what we call a feelings wheel from Google.
A feelings wheel is a circle with core or basic emotions. these emotions are more easily identified or expressed. At the outer edge are more complex emotions. A feelings wheel can be helpful because the more specific you can get with labeling your emotions, the better your partner can understand and empathize.
It gives you access to understand what emotions come from anger, what comes from happiness, and it gives you all of these beautiful words that you can kind of use in your dialogue to talk about what's happening. And so saying, hey, you don't have to do this with all of your family or your best friend, but I need this from you, and it's a vital part of our relationship. The other thing that comes to mind too is like a journal.
A journal. Some of you out there may have grown up with a computer, but a journal is a bound book with perfectly edged scraps of paper that needs a writing utensil called a pen or a pencil to scribe your inner thoughts. Am I showing my age yet?
So maybe if sometimes the over talker or the one who's over communicating sometimes needs to just process their thoughts, and pen to paper really is powerful. So having a couples journal where you just kind of take turns going back and forth. So one of you would start an entry. You could have prompts if you want, or you don't have to, but share it back and forth. I had a couple that would just leave it on the island in the kitchen. They had no children, so no one was snooping around. And they knew that when it was placed back on the island, it was the other person's turn to respond. I love that too, because then it gives you time to process what the other person's saying.
While we all take a moment to process this information and purchase a journal, please enjoy this brief word from our sponsor.
Hi, I'm Patrick. I have hemophilic arthropathy, or permanent joint disease and chronic pain as a result of hemophilia-related bleeding. And like many of my fellow blood brothers and sisters, finding the safest and most effective ways to manage my HA has been somewhat challenging at times. That's why I'm in support of Tremeau's Reset HA study. Tremeu was founded with the goal of developing and delivering non-opioid pain therapies for people living with pain. Tremeau's Reset HA study is a clinical research study for people who experience joint pain due to hemophilia. The study's evaluating an oral, non-opioid investigational drug designed to be taken once a day to see if it may potentially help relieve joint pain and improve physical function in people with hemophilic arthropathy. You may be eligible to participate in this clinical research study if you are between the ages of 12 and 75, have been diagnosed with hemophilia A or B, have chronic pain in one or more joints, and do not take opioid medication more than 4 days a week. If you are interested in learning more about taking part in Tremeau's Reset HA study, visit resethastudy.com. That's ResetHastudy.com to find a study location near you. Reset the way you manage your pain. Visit resethastudy.com today.
Welcome back to the Pain Pod, After Hours, where we discuss relationships, intimacy, and you guessed it, chronic pain. Has chronic pain affected your relationship and interrupted your intimacy? If so, this next little ditty goes out to all those looking to move past these obstacles and rekindle that flame. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the soothing sounds of our guest, Sarah Watson.
What does intimacy mean to your couple?
Intimacy can look different to everyone, so connecting with your partner and understanding each other's needs is important.
So I probably sound like a broken record to everyone, right? But you got to talk about it first. Have you talked to your partner about your sexual relationship? What you need, what you want, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, like your yes, no, maybe list, where your level of desire is. And again, thinking about stages of life, like if you're a person with small children, is going to be very different than to newlyweds who are younger. versus people in their 60s and their kids are out of the house and they're like on their happy way to retirement. It's all going to be very different. So remembering that there's ebbs and flows and consistently having just conversations about what's working and what could be different.
Suppose you're a person who experiences chronic pain. In that case, it can present itself at the most inopportune times, and unfortunately for some, that can affect sexual intimacy. But there are ways to navigate these uncomfortable moments. Sarah expands on this topic.
I would say in regards to the pain is paying attention to, are there certain times of the week that your pain increases due to your job or the weather or whatever impacts your pain? And then looking to see if you have that ability to see, okay, I know it's a little bit less generally towards the beginning of the week, then share that with your partner and then decide together if maybe that's a more opportune time to have a physical intimacy together. So it doesn't have to be, penetrative sex, but what does intimacy mean to your couple? So kind of scheduling it around, like if you have ups and downs within your pain. I would say also what comes to mind is that if you are in the middle of doing something together and something, because this happens all of the time. I hear it when I, talk to my clients. I hear it when I, do presentations with those who have chronic pain. That stuff could happen in the middle, right? Like you are being intimate and like you move a little way and bam, there goes a hip, there goes an ankle. And you're like, oh my gosh, right? So saying that to your partner that, hey, I might be feeling really into it and it might be looking like it's feeling really good, but sometimes I might have to stop. And that is okay. And sometimes that stop means, okay, we're done for right now. Or maybe it's a stop, pause, see where that leads me. And if we can do anything else, and then see if the arousal comes back and you can get back into that space. So being okay with a stop and start, and then also looking to schedule that. And again, talk about it, right? What feels good? Because something that might feel good this week may not feel good next month.
So as we begin to wind down this week's episode of the Pain Pod, After Hours, we recognize that communication is key. But we want to leave you with this last thing to consider as you continue building your relationships and moving forward with chronic pain.
So if you are having trouble communicating, talk to someone. If you are having trouble with yourself and understanding your pain and kind of processing that and being able to give that language and being able to verbalize that, then you probably should go talk to someone. And if you are within a hospital system, there's generally social workers that are going to be able to sit with and talk with you and then recommend a therapist to help you navigate that pain issue. But it's always going to be helpful to talk to someone else. If you're having sexual health issues because of your pain and you talk about it and you are scheduling, whether that you're scheduling intimacy and scheduling those conversations and it's still not right, please research who is a sex therapist in your area who is going to be able to help that, because we like to talk about it and get people to a place that they want to be. I think it's never a bad idea. And it doesn't mean you have to be in therapy forever. Sometimes it's going to be 4 months. Sometimes it's going to be 6 years because you uncover things within the relationship, and that's wonderful. And then you have that person who knows your story, who knows the relationship and or you, who's always in your corner, who's always just going to be like, well, should we think about that a little differently, and like challenge you in a way that's meaningful.
Connecting, communicating your needs, and opening up can make us feel vulnerable, even more so if we experience chronic pain. But pain shouldn't get in the way of growing our relationships or building intimacy, however that may look. So if the pain is affecting your relationships, remember these 4 things. Understanding your pain, your needs, and your wants is essential. Communication with your partner is key. Know that things will change, evolve, look different, and grow as your relationship continues. And seeking outside help from a therapist can bring more clarity and understanding to your situation. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Pain Pod, After Hours. We're wishing you a future filled with happiness and lots of love. Next time on the Pain Pod.
Wars are amazing things. One of the worst ways anyone can imagine, really, of solving anybody's problems. They lead to technological advances in many areas, and medicine is one of them.
We talk World War II, prolific physicians, and advancements in chronic pain next time on The Pain Pod. The Pain Pod is written and hosted by me, Mel Forrest. Produced by Keith Cornela. Edited by Jose Miguel Baez. Artwork by Ryan Gielen and Christina Newhard. Post-production support from Joshua Sterling Bragg, Rob Bradford, Allison Stoney, and Avra Friedman. And executive produced by Patrick James Lynch. The Pain Pod is produced by Bloodstream Media and presented by Tremo Pharmaceuticals. Tremo's Reset HA study is a clinical research study for people who experience joint pain due to hemophilia. And you can learn more about it by visiting resethastudy.com. And as always, if you like this episode, make sure to subscribe, rate, and share the Pain Pod. Thanks so much for listening. I'm Mel Forrest, and we'll be back next time with episode 5 of the Pain Pod.